Power isn't loud. It's the man who says nothing when chaos begs for a reaction. You want to win? Then kill these 5 emotions, or they'll bury you alive.
I've watched strong men crumble, not from war, but from feelings they never learned to master. If you want control, not the fake kind, but the kind they feel when you walk into the room, then listen close. Here are 5 emotions you must silence before they become your identity. Everyone has a chapter they can't talk about. This is mine.
There was a time in my life when everything looked like it was finally falling into place. A deal I had been building for months collapsed in one phone call. The woman I loved stopped answering. My calendar went from full to forgotten. I didn't scream. I just sat there, still. But inside, I was drowning in a rage I couldn't name. You ever been there? When everything goes silent outside, but inside you're burning. That's frustration. Not loud, not violent, just suffocating. And the worst part? No one sees it. Because you're still showing up, still saying, "I'm fine," while the fire eats your peace from the inside out. One night I told Kai, the man who mentored me through the wreckage, "I feel like life is mocking me. Nothing's working, nothing fits." He looked me in the eye and said one sentence that cracked me open. "Maybe it's not supposed to fit the old version of you." That hit me, because I was trying to force life to obey my timeline, trying to control what I was never meant to control. So I stopped. I sat with the chaos, and I asked a better question. What do I still own? My breath, my thoughts, my next small move. That was the night frustration lost its power over me. Not because I fixed everything, but because I didn't need to anymore. Now, when life delays me, I open my notes, I rewrite my vision. When someone cuts me off in traffic, I use it to practice unshakable stillness. When silence comes from people I thought cared, I let the silence teach me instead of torment me. You see, the world doesn't test you with grand disasters. It tests your edge in whispers, in delays, in dismissals, in daily slights. Frustration doesn't break men, reaction does, and the man who masters his stillness becomes immune to the noise. I remember a night. I was 34, sleeping on a friend's couch, 2 shirts to my name. No bank account, no business, no woman. I opened my phone, and there it was, an old friend, younger than me, just closed $1 million round. Another? Vacationing in the Maldives with his wife and newborn. And me? Counting coins for gas and pretending I was okay. Something twisted in my chest. Not anger, not even sadness. Just this quiet, heavy ache that whispered, "You're failing. Everyone's ahead. You missed your chance." That's jealousy. It doesn't scream. It sighs. Softly. But it gets in your blood like a slow poison. I almost deleted my account that night. But instead I messaged Kai. He sent me just 5 words. Turn the mirror inward. Start there. I didn't get it until I sat with myself. See, jealousy isn't really about them. It's about the parts of you that you abandoned, the dreams you ignored, the work you skipped, the inner child still waiting to be seen. You don't envy their car, you envy that they kept showing up when you stopped. So I stopped scrolling. I muted every account that made me feel less. And I wrote a list of my own values, my timeline, my mission, because no one is really ahead or behind. We're just walking different mountains. Some people's peak is a house. Mine is peace. Some climb for applause. I climb to breathe. And when you start building your own path, brick by silent brick, jealousy fades. You no longer want their life, because you're finally living yours. So next time that voice says, "You're behind," respond with this: "Behind what? I'm not running their race." And then keep walking, quietly, deliberately, until your peace gets so loud you can't hear the noise anymore. He betrayed me, not just with a lie, but with silence. He knew they were blaming me for what he did, and he let it happen. For months, I kept the story alive in my head, editing, replaying, rewriting, as if somehow if I remembered it better, it would hurt him back. It didn't. It only burned me. One night I sat outside the cabin, holding a small piece of wood, digging into it with the knife I used to carve. I wasn't making anything. I was just cutting. Elena stepped out, saw what I was doing. She didn't ask questions, just sat down beside me and said, "Whatever he took from you, don't let him take your hands too." That sentence, it shattered the loop. I looked down at the scar I'd left on the wood, realized it looked exactly like my mind, damaged, not by the past, but by holding on to it. Musonius Rufus said, "No man is free who holds resentment. Forgiveness isn't for their peace, it's for your return to yourself." So I wrote it all down, his name, the moment, what it cost me. Then I walked into the woods and burned the page. The fire was small, but I swear, I felt lighter than I had in years. You don't win by hurting them back. You win by becoming someone who no longer needs to move, without weight, or let it rot you from the inside. The hardest thing I ever did wasn't losing everything. It was facing the look in the mirror the morning after. The deal collapsed. My name was dragged through whispers. People I once mentored now acted like I was contagious. But that wasn't the real pain. The real pain was the voice in my head whispering, "Maybe they were right about you." Shame doesn't scream. It sighs quietly inside your bones. You start walking differently, avoiding old friends, pretending you're busy just to not explain why your phone hasn't rung in weeks. I remember I was helping Kai finish a table in the workshop. My hands were shaking. He didn't ask why, just placed a wooden board in front of me and said, "You ever see a piece of wood that's ashamed it cracked?" I looked at the grains. They were warped, ugly, torn. But Kai just smiled. The crack is where the heat passed through and it survived. I sat there in silence for a long time, because the truth hit harder than any insult I'd ever heard. I wasn't broken because I failed. I stayed broken because I wore the failure like it defined me. Do you know why shame is so heavy? Because it drags every past version of you into the present and forces you to carry them all at once. But here's what Stoicism taught me. Only the brave fail in public. Cowards stay safe in the shadows, and the man who hides his wounds stays weak. But the one who reveals them becomes fireproof. So talk about it. Write it. Share the story that once silenced you. That story might just set someone else free. And maybe that someone is you. I still remember that night. I'd snapped at my mother. Not out of hate, out of exhaustion, pressure, pride. But I saw it. That look in her eyes. And I carried it with me for months. Every time I sat to meditate, her face came back. Soft, silent, disappointed. Guilt doesn't scream. It haunts you, quietly, like a door you forgot to close. And the worst part? Guilt convinces you that you need to suffer to be worthy again. You skip the gym. You eat the wrong thing. You lash out. Then you spiral. It tells you you don't deserve a fresh start. But here's the truth I learned, the hard way. You don't heal guilt by bleeding more. You heal it by correcting forward. One morning, Elena came by the workshop. She didn't ask questions, just brought me ginger tea and placed a note beside me. It said, "One kind act is worth more than 1,000 silent apologies." That evening, I drove back to my mother's place. Didn't say much, just sat beside her, held her hand, and said, "I'm sorry, and I'm learning." She didn't say anything, just squeezed my hand. That moment broke the curse, not because I was forgiven, but because I forgave myself enough to show up again. If guilt still owns you, do this. Name what you regret. Write one small corrective move, then do it within 24 hours. Don't wait until you feel ready. Action creates worthiness, not the other way around. You don't pay for mistakes by suffering. You pay by changing. And I promise you, heaven does not withhold its mercy from a man who chooses to rise. They thought power was about domination, but real power is silent mastery of self. Frustration made you reactive. Jealousy made you chase shadows. Resentment kept the wound alive. Shame dimmed your light. And guilt? It told you not to try again. But here's the truth. I've been through them all. Life didn't go easy on me. But looking back, maybe that was the test. Maybe what you're facing now isn't a curse. Maybe it's training. Maybe the universe is shaping something new in you, a strength, a stillness, a clarity no one can steal. So if today feels dark, don't quit. This isn't the end. This is the forge.
But if you really want to understand where all this silence came from, you need to hear what happened when someone I trusted most left me bleeding in front of the world. That story's next. Subscribe. Stay with me. Because the quiet ones, we don't stay quiet forever.
They called you cold? Too distant? Good. Cold men stay calm. They break men who react, not the one who calculates. Move or die.